So they're going to bash you no matter what you say, Zohran. So you might as well tell the truth. These Zionists are, they're not going to be happy with you asking it, and there's no way you're going to appease them. So the best thing you can do is speak truth to power. Because remember, it was also Zohran Mamdani who threw Palestinian activists under the bus by condemning globalized intifada. Now I'm going to show you guys how, despite the cope coming from Zohran support, they say, well, Zohran has to do this because he's running an election and he has to win over the centrists. That is not what happening, man. Like, no matter what you said, the Zionists was going to go after you. Why won't progressives admit, especially in the era of Trump, what is politically successful is you speaking your truth and speaking it unapologetically and defending that truth. That is what is a political winner. It was a political winner for Donald Trump and everyone who followed that same strategy. This idea that you can win and coast by being a Weasley centrist, how is that a coherent strategy? Because I wish I could even say a clip, because I think this whole segment, this is a 30-minute clip. Big shout out to Case Study QB for clipping this. But I actually saw this whole segment live, and CNN didn't post it. Let me see if they did. I'm gonna check their YouTube channel. Nope. I feel like they didn't post this whole segment because they knew they would have got toasted, bro. I'm gonna describe it. I seen the whole segment live. I had to put it up my tablet. You guys know I'm always doing the Oppo research on these people. I saw that they were talking about Zohran. I was like, bro, I gotta see this. Bro, this segment was like 8 minutes of the Democrats on the panel, because Abby Phillips' show is like Democrats on the panel, Republicans on the panel, and then they supposed to argue. In this story where they were talking about Zohran Mamdani October statement, the entire panel was in 100% agreement that Zohran Mamdani is scum for putting out this statement. So he pissed off the left and he pissed off the people he was trying to appease as well.
He even said he would arrest Bibi Netanyahu if he touched ground in New York City, which is a bold proclamation to make. And so you should not be, especially in a city like New York,
where the UN
is but not only that, but I'm just saying, but you're also the leader of all people. Let me just put a pin on it real quick. In the city of New York, where you have a lot of Jews in this city who feel persecuted every single day. And I just think that, yes, we can actually show that grief for babies dying in Gaza. We can show that grief for the war in Gaza. But today, you should have a level of empathy for your Jewish brethren in the city.
Yeah, I mean,
to even
complete Hebrew nonsense. So when these genocidal Zionists tell you that you shouldn't be doing something, you're supposed to do the exact opposite. You're supposed to lead instead of trying to appease these people. Radio Free Mamdani. That's what I'm going to start calling him. Radio Free Mamdani. So your strategy is not even working because Zohran people are like, he has to say this. He has to say this, Nick. Come on, man. Don't you know you got to have strategy? You guys have no strategy. Don't you got no, it's 3D, it's 5D chess. 5D chess that he's playing. Meanwhile, this motherfucker is being attacked all over corporate media. I can show you CNN. I can show you MSNBC. I can show you Fox News. Everyone is uniformly attacking him for this same position when he didn't even speak truth to power.
Start this half hour with the race for mayor and a statement by Zohran Mamdani marking October 7th that has the Israeli government denouncing him.
Political reporter Marcia Kramer here in studio with us to explain this. Marcia?
Okay, Jay and Jess. From the start of his campaign for mayor, the Queens Assemblyman has been consistent. While he has called for the return of the hostages and mourned the loss of lives on October 7th, he has stridently attacked the Israeli government for its response. Today was no exception.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Zohran Mamdani was on the campaign trail yesterday talking about his affordability agenda. But today, 2 years after the Hamas attack on Israel, he let a statement do the talking. While he mourned the loss of Jewish lives, he saved his firepower for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who, he said, launched a genocidal war against the Palestinians. Every day in Gaza has become a place where grief itself has run out of language, Mamdani said. I mourn these lives and pray for the families that have been shattered. Our government has been complicit through it all.
I'm gonna skip ahead because I already covered
I think
this
this is
part.
just one of many examples of anti-Jewish positions that are cloaked under the veil of anti-Zionism or anti-Netanyahu.
I think it's ill-timed. It's we're trying to bring peace right now at this moment, so I think it's not the time for him to speak out on this anniversary.
I'm proud of him saying so. I mean, it's like trading, what was it, 1,200 people that they slaughtered.
Based old man here. He's pretty based. I like this old guy at the end. I didn't see him at the end. But you got to see the people who are going to attack Zohran is still going to attack him over this. And this last one I share here, Fox News.
Netanyahu and the Israeli government launched a genocidal war, adding, our government has been complicit through it all. Let's bring in Denise Cohen. She's a New York resident. Also graduated from Columbia University, where a lot of these protests have been. Thank you so much for joining the program.
Thanks for having me.
Let's go straight to the statement, because he spent 2 sentences condemning the violence that took place on October the 7th. But then he gives an entire dossier for 3 more paragraphs.
Yeah. Very similar to what he did right after the original October 7th, back to 2 years ago. This statement is fascinating because of the backlash. He has a pinned tweet from a year ago. This has way more views than it. It's up to 16 million views when I last checked. And interestingly enough, there are almost 10,000 comments, most of which are very negative. And they've been geotagged. Most of them are from New Yorkers. So it is kind of fascinating, the outrage that this statement of his has sparked.
Being a Jew in New York City, explain the impact of these protests. They're, in many cases, are extremely anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
You're Jewish, but there's some people within your community that still support Mamdani. Explain that to us.
Well, it's very hard to explain. It doesn't make any sense to me. And quite honestly, the well-accepted definition of anti-Semitism includes anti-Zionism, which is the right to Jewish self-determination in a land of our own, Israel.
Yes, this is what the people. That is not what anti-Semitism means. She essentially says if you believe in anti-Zionism, you're anti-Semite, essentially smearing all the Jewish people who are critical of the state of Israel as anti-Semitic. So you got to see how these Jewish supremacists, these people are actually the most quote-unquote anti-Semitic. Since he just brushed aside the Jewish people that had no problem with the statement. And say, well, if you don't support my position, you're an anti-Semite. So they're going to bash you no matter what you say, Zohran. So you might as well tell the truth. These Zionists they're not going to be happy with you asking it, and there's no way you're going to appease them. So the best thing you can do is speak truth to power. So Zohran Mamdani condemns any successful acts of resistance. Like did he ever say he supported Palestinian resistance? I'm sure he probably did before. But these people support failed Palestinian resistance. I know his father did. His father was unapologetically in support of Palestinian resistance. Now he condemns it. People like Bernie Sanders, they condemn not only the Palestinian resistance, but they condemn even peaceful acts of resistance like boycotting. Like, while I do not support the BDS movement, and Bernie Sanders to this day, I know this is an older tweet, I had to find it quickly here. To this day, he maintains he doesn't support BDS because I don't support any sort of sanctions or economic attacks. Meanwhile, he supports sanctions on the state of Russia. So it shows how all Zionists lie at the end of the day. And I had enough of these social democrats, the people like Zohran Mamdani, who have a worldview who I view as toxic. The belief that we should sell out to the empire in order to fund a welfare state. I would never be okay with that ideology. I will never be okay with people who condemn the resistance. And there's nothing unreasonable for me for us to demand better leftist leaders. Like, why is it possible for us to get this right, but Zohran can't? Why is it possible for us to understand the complexities of the Ukraine crisis, but Ro Khanna doesn't? Cori Bush doesn't? Why is it okay for them to engage in anti-intellectualism and for us to accept it? Like, when I criticize and we criticize Zohran's state, actually, I actually want to read, because I'm already going long as fuck on this statement, on this. I'm already going long as hell on this segment anyway, so I might as well. I'm actually interested. I'm gonna show you guys some responses to this. And I'm going to show you, like, everyone under the sun knows how to debunk this. Everyone on the left. So why do we have such a low standard for people who raise their hand and want to be a leader? Here, I always show Mark Kimberly. Mark Kimberly knows about the Hannibal Directive. Shouldn't we have Mark Kimberly run for president? Shouldn't she be the mayor? Why is it okay? The people who are humble enough to say, I don't want to be a leader, they know this shit. These people know this shit. Look, 2 years ago, Hamas carried out the coolest thing ever. I mourn these lives and pray for the safe return for every occupier. That's who he's talking about. Justify resistance. Here's Eddie once again. October 7th, the event that started Israel-Palestine. Yeah, everyone calling them out for us. Like, you don't start this conflict on October 7th. Zionist Zohran. Why are Muslim men and women in power so cowardly and disgraceful? It makes me sick, man, because I'm black and I can relate to the frustrations that Arabs and Palestinians have, considering how much our black congressional caucus and capitalists sell us out. You're a traitor to Palestine and your own namesake. Bro, I only scratched the surface of how much this man was dragged. And people will never admit that I was right. I called these people out from the very beginning as the entirety of the left caught Zohran Mamdani fever. I immediately knew this man was a rat. Over here partying with Richie Torres and shit. This is a great meme as well. Once again, how can anyone have the same people who want to support Zohran Mamdani, the DSA, they can't stand the ACP. You don't have to agree with the ACP on everything, but at least the ACP isn't fucking condemning Hamas. They're actually supporting the Palestinian resistance. They're supporting Yemen. Fuck you, Zionists. Who actually, yeah, I loved it. Here's his dad. I'm glad someone showed this. So his dad said Palestinians have a right to resist. This is colonial occupation, not a conflict. Zohran, stop trying to impress or fit in with them. No matter what you do, they will always hate you for who you are and your identity.
Get out! Get out! Get the hell out of here! Get out! Get out! Get the hell out of here!
Yeah, we pretty much telling Zohran to get the fuck out of here with this nonsense. Like, if you scroll and you look at the left, bro, there's not a single positive comment about this. Fucking Cutlass pussy. Pick a side. I love my algorithm. Resistance against occupation, apartheid, colonialism, and genocide is never a crime. Why are they willing to say this? Why are we willing to say this? But the person who raised his hand and said that I want to be the leader of the left, why isn't he saying this? Why do we have such low expectations for people who want to be leaders? I have the highest expectations, and they treat it as the exact opposite. They keep their expectations on politicians extremely low, while expecting activists to be perfect. They will cancel you if you have I know, because all these DSA people who like Zohran, they've been canceled me. I've been banned on corporate media. I'm considered problematic among the Bernie crowd. Like, I am the one who not to be spoken of. I am the one to be blocked. I'm telling you, that's how a lot of these people treat me because I've been critical of the DSA. I've been critical of Bernie Sanders' AOC. I have pushed back against them on Ukraine. I'm not making it about me, but I made a lot of enemies among the Bernie Sanders left over the years. You guys probably seen it. You guys seen these people try to get me canceled every motherfucking week. It never happens, though. I mean, I told you guys Nick was secretly red, brown, and lions. So these people are classist. And this is what these social democrats, this is what they're all about. They hold the highest expectations for ordinary activists and ordinary people, and it will cancel you in a quickness. They don't want to work with ACP. They wouldn't work with you if you have a problematic tweet. They will never work with RBN. But they down support Zohran Mamdani, who's a fucking Muslim Zionist who condemns the resistance. You guys see the low expectations that is put on politicians? So I'm going to show you guys what someone who I endorse, what they say on the anniversary of October 7th. And goddamn, Zoe, we're already 90 minutes in damn there, so we definitely going to have to edit this title a bit. At least Zohran was the main story today. Because I have to read you guys what Sharma said. Because Sharma and Zohran in their statements couldn't be more different. I am a surrogate for the Sharma's campaign. I will be speaking at a campaign event for Sharma this Sunday because she's running as an independent against a genocidal Zionist, Adam Smith. So to me, it makes no sense for me not to be in support of someone who is running a strong anti-Zionist, anti-capitalist campaign and not running as a Democrat. You want to know who's not supporting Sharma? None of the DSA people are coming out and support Sharma. None of the people that you see supporting Zohran Mamdani, I haven't seen them say a damn thing about the Sharma campaign. You want to know why? Because Zohran Mamdani and his allies, they are not building an anti-Zionist movement. They're not building a working class movement. It's a movement for Democrats by Democrats to advance the career of Democrats. Many of these progressive Democrats, many of these DSA people, many of these people do not give a fuck about the Palestinian people at all. The biggest fear that these people have is the development of an anti-Zionist movement outside of the Democratic Party. You understand that? Their biggest fear is an anti-Zionist movement forming outside of the Zionist-controlled Democratic Party. They don't want to lose the reins. They want to stay in control, which goes back to why Zohran made a statement like this in the first place. He don't make this statement. He don't condemn the resistance. He don't condemn globalizing intifada because it's good political strategy. That's him trying to dictate and rein in the Free Palestine movement and make it pro-Democrat friendly. So you want to know what you say if you're not trying to build a pro-Democrat anti-Zionist movement? You have a statement like Sharma Sawant's. Let's get to it. Today marks 2 years since the genocide in Gaza began. No bullshit about Hamas murdering 1,100 Israelis. You guys see how Sharma doesn't immediately go into Jewish feelings? The only significance of October 7th was it was a fantastic act of resistance, which embarrassed the empire to the point where they decided they're going to engage in the final solution, which isn't a condemnation of the Palestinians or their strategy, it's a condemnation of the West and their genocidal tendencies. Today marks 2 years since the genocide in Gaza began. Look, no protecting Jewish feelings here. More than 500,000 Palestinians have been slaughtered by Israeli state terrorism, yet both parties in the United States imperialism continue to back this modern day Holocaust. So what does Sharma do immediately that Zohran Mamdani did not do? She did not use the fake genocide denying 68,000 Palestinian dead number. You notice how Sharma Sawant used the more accurate 500,000 Palestinians been murdered? So I'm not unreasonable for demanding competent leaders. This is what a competent leader looks like. Someone who's not afraid to speak truth to power, unlike that cowardly centrist cuck, Zohran Mamdani. Democratic and Republican politicians in Congress. Oh, yeah, one more thing she does that Zohran didn't do. You got to notice how Shama Sawant made sure everyone understands that both parties are complicit, including the party that Zohran Mamdani is running in. Zohran Mamdani did not make it clear that his party, the party that he voted for, is the party that is responsible for genocide. Because one of the first things I learned about Zohran Mamdani, which made it an immediate hell no for me, is the fact that he voted for Killer Kamala. I would never, ever trust anyone who voted for someone who enabled the genocide, period. Let me rephrase that. If you're an ordinary person, let me rephrase that. Let me take that back a little bit. If you're an ordinary person, there is a path for redemption for you. But you are not allowed to raise your hand and say you're a leader. If you voted for Killer Kamala Harris, if you voted for genocide Joe Biden, I guess you can redeem yourself later, but you are not allowed to be like, hey, I want to be the leader. Nope, I will never vote for you. I don't know. Everyone's grace period is different. Nigga, you gotta go at least 10 to 15 years without any shit livery for me to ever consider you to be in a leadership position after that. I'm gonna put it like that. I won't go that hard in vote shaming. But if you did vote for these people, I think you should take a time out for a bit in terms of leadership positions. The Democratic and Republican parties in Congress have provided over $21 billion to Israel to carry out these horrors under President Biden. Look, you guys see how Shama is laying out the reality of the situation, making sure people understand that Zohran's party is responsible for this. Democratic and Republican politicians in the Congress have provided $21 billion to Israel to carry out these horrors. First under President Biden, who presided over the genocide for 15 months, and now under President Trump. You guys see how Shama Sawant is making a point to use October 7th as a time to educate the American populace about the reality of the situation. What does Zohran do? He used it as an opportunity to virtue signal to the ruling class that he's acceptable to give them reins of power. It's a complete difference, and this is why you're not seeing the corporate media go after Shama Sawant. Because when you spit this much fire, you spit this much truth, and I know this personally as someone who these people hate, but they don't like to say my name. The same reason these people didn't call me out for my Charlie Kirk video, because they don't want to accidentally platform some true ass shit. So what happens if CNN and these people read this statement by Shama Sawant? They will accidentally provide truth to their audience. But you guys see, if you look at all the coverage of Zohran Mamdani, they had no problems saying, like, oh, Zohran said this, Zohran said that. No, they don't want to, they wouldn't even want to platform your truth if you spit it hard enough. Make it so they are hesitant to even attack you. And a lot of people are learned this the hard way when the people go after me. And that's why people like pretend I don't exist now. Like the right wing, they wouldn't call me out during the Charlie Kirk thing because they knew the only thing that would happen, they would give me a platform to tell the truth about who he was. The ADL called me out one time and they realized that was the biggest mistake they made because I was able to use that to spread the truth about the ADL, why I made the statements I made, why I oppose Zionism. So then they like, oh man, we gotta leave this motherfucker alone. You gotta see why this fact. This is why speaking truth to power will always, always, always be better than the milquetoast shit you see from Zohran Mamdani throwing Cuba, Venezuela, and the Palestinian resistance under the bus. The brutal mistreatment of courageous activists on the global flotilla, which Zohran also didn't mention in his statement, Bernie Sanders and AOC, they now pretend they have no idea who Greta is. I'm not gonna say for sure, but I haven't seen, has Zohran Mamdani said anything about Greta, the flotilla? I don't know for sure. I know I haven't seen it. She calls out their assault on flotilla. For a second time, I'm gonna skip this paragraph. She calls out. Actually, no, I'll read it. Fuck it. The brutal mistreatment mistreatment of courageous activists on the flotilla, including Greta Thunberg and Amazon union leader Chris Moss, detained and assaulted by Israeli forces, have been met with deafening silence by Democrats. Oh, bro, this is a fantastic statement by Sharma, including progressives like AOC and Bernie Sanders. My opponent, Democratic Congress member Adam Smith, has also remained silent, not surprisingly. Smith has also called anti-war activists, yeah, we covered this, left-wing fascists and demanded they be arrested. You guys see how Sharma is using October 7th as a way to immediately go on the attack against the Zionist mob instead of appeasing them? This is what it looks like to be a leader. Not what Zohran does. This is why I'm proud to endorse this campaign. Why I'm a surrogate of this campaign. Because this is the energy you need. You don't need to fucking appeal to Jewish feelings, especially in an era where people are turning against the state of Israel, where people are not buying this bullshit anymore. Man, we are 9 minutes in. This is a banger. I definitely want to finish Sharma's statement though. He has, I'm gonna continue this paragraph. The Democratic Party has not a shred of credibility left. And the goal of Zohran Mamdani is to rehabilitate the Democratic Party and reassure anti-genocide protesters that there's a spot for them. You guys see why Zohran is doing what he's doing, why it's so bad that you rehabilitate a genocidal party? Instead of taking the momentum of Americans wanting a record amount of Americans wanting a third party, a record amount of Americans opposing Israel. Instead of taking that momentum and transferring that to a third party, Zohran is trying to kill any revolutionary action by siphoning it back into the Democratic Party, which is the fundamental difference between what he and Sharma is doing. What Sharma is making sure she keeps the boot on the neck of the Democratic Party. She calls out AOC and Adam Smith for funding the Iron Dome. You guys see how there's no October 7th lies here. It's all about calling out our Zionist-controlled ruling class for the crime they committed, which should be the focus every October 7th for any serious leftist. Not spreading Israeli propaganda by lying by omission, not bring up the Hannibal directive, undercounting the amount of Palestinians that was murdered. I hope you guys see by contrast why Sharma's statement is so much better than Zohran's. She calls out the states that Israel committed crimes against in Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, and Iran. These are things that Zohran don't mention. We need a new party for working and oppressed people in the United States. A party that will base itself on militant mass movements, on mass strike actions, and mass disobedience to end the genocide and fight unambiguously for working people and the oppressed against the billionaires and the rotten system. You guys see this paragraph right here is exactly why Zohran Mamdani, the DSA, AOC would never support Sharma Sawant. This is why all the Zohran Mamdani nerds are silent, despite the fact that Sharma is running against one of the most genocidal Democrats in Congress. They are silent and they are not supporting Sharma's campaign because they don't want to see an anti-Zionist movement form outside the Democratic Party. And I have been clear, and this is why I was a campaign surrogate for Dr. Jill Stein as well. My number one priority in this time is to form an anti-Zionist third party, anti-capitalist party, anti-capitalist movement to challenge the ruling class, not to become part of it. This is why I want to support anyone who shares that shared vision. And I've been begging the left to get serious so we can have this coalition against the Zionist ruling class. This is why I work with the Green Party. This is why I work with Worker Strike Back. This is why I work with ACP. Anyone who is outside the Democratic Party, anyone who's a hardcore anti-Zionist, we need to let bygones be bygones and form a movement to destroy this empire, Zio-fascist state. And you're not doing that by joining the Democratic Party. In a million years, I would never support anyone who runs as a Democrat. You're wasting our time. You're granting legitimacy to a genocidal racist party, and that should be considered unacceptable. Whew. Sorry, I've been yelling at the screen for 90 minutes, so I had to take a second to compose myself. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I haven't done any ads, so make sure you guys share, like, support me on Patreon because this channel isn't monetized. Oh fuck! So I forgot to sell Rumble. Fuck! I didn't mean to. I usually be live on Rumble. Make sure you guys follow us on X, Rumble, Twitch. I actually forgot. Damn, I forgot to sell Rumble. That's crazy. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoy the stream. Make sure you guys share. Help me expand this new channel. I'm actually having way more fun doing this on my channel than I thought. I'm explaining why. I'd be curious to see how far I can take the channel, like without the RBN brand. Like how many people can I get to follow Nick Cruse and my radical ass message? You know, I'm very blessed to be able to form RBN, the leftist think tank, mutual aid organizing force. But now it's like, how many people can I get to subscribe to Nick Cruse, not just RBN? It's kind of like an experiment I'm running with myself. Can I grow a channel organically by myself? Come on, guys, don't let me fail. I want to see. I'm challenging myself to see if I can do it. Don't let me fail, though, guys. Come on, don't let me fail. Let's continue her base-ass statement. My independent socialist campaign for Congress is calling for an immediate end to all funding to the Israeli state, an end to the occupation of Gaza and the West Bank, and an end to apartheid system in Israel. You guys see how she uses the October 7th as a way to present a coherent platform for the left instead of spreading Zionist lies. Once again, as far as I'm concerned, Zohran Mamdani, the difference between him and Shama Sawan is as wide as the ocean is. Not like people are like, man, you guys are supposed to be close to them. No, we're not. Social democracy is as far away from our ideology as possible. The idea that you make a devil's bargain with the capitalist class and sell out to the empire, and you guys realize they use that to replace class struggle. You don't engage in class struggle. You engage in electoralism. Have meetings with business leaders like Zohran has. You meet with landlords like Zohran has, so you can reduce the pain of capitalism. That's what social democrats want. We want complete regression and dominance over capitalist interests, over the means of production. We want to win the class war, not become an agent to soften the blow of class war. You know, and that's a gigantic difference. And it's crazy to me that many people don't get that. And this is exactly why I wanted to read a statement. Because look at Shama here. Look at my girl Shama. Shama says, we need a global intifada. This is why we love you, Shama. So as Zohran Mamdani is literally condemning the term globalized intifada, Shama Sawan is writing statements on October 7th saying that we need to globalize the intifada. Come on, man. How can I not support this? Come on. Beta male cut Zohran Mamdani condemns globalized the intifada. Meanwhile, Shama Sawan is literally saying it on October 7th. We need a global intifada, a mass uprising against this violent capitalist system on a working class basis. The Palestinian intifadas began in 1987. Here she's like, this is base as hell. So unlike Zohran, she's praising the intifadas. Come on, man. Come on. Like, I'm much more like Shama, not really a tanky like I am. But how can I not align with Shama? Even though Shama not crazy tanky like me, and you guys seen our discussion. You guys see us talk about our disagreements on our phrasing, like she's more of a Trotskyist. But how can I not support someone like this in our modern political climate? And I implore you guys, I know you guys have differences with Shama. I know we all got differences with Shama. But how can you not support this? You know what I mean? Someone who willing to speak truth to this level, especially compared to Zohran. We need a global intifada, mass uprising against this violent capitalist system on a working class basis. The Palestinian intifadas began in 1987 as a series of uprisings against Israeli occupation. During these intifadas, Palestinians fought back with mass protests, civil disobedience, and strike action in Israel, Gaza, and the West Bank. This resistance has been met with brutality by the Israeli state, back to the hilt by American imperialism. Thank you, Shama. Thank you, Shama, for showing Zohran Mamdani and the pathetic DSA scum how it's done. Just like Nurdine said in her amazing breakdown, he explains that how leaving out all the context that Shama just brought up here creates it paints a story that the Palestinian resistance is mindless and just full of bloodshed. You gotta see how Shama Sawant doesn't throw the Palestinians under the bus. She brings up all the different tactics that the Palestinians engaged in, how they were met with hostile responses, and how they have no other choice but to engage in armed struggle. Like, this statement is brilliant by Shama. I'm actually very curious on what my RBN community think about this, because I love my RBN community is independent minded. You guys put back on me sometimes. I actually very curious what you guys think, because isn't this fantastic? Also, for the people, because I have destroyed Zohran Mamdani so badly that the only response that his supporters have is, come on, look, Nick is just a fucking asshole. He don't support anybody. Who do you support, Nick? Why don't you support anyone? Here they are. This is an example of someone who I'm willing to support. Despite people say Nick never supports anybody, they ignore the fact that I supported Joe Stein. They ignore if Rome ran for Congress, if Rome ran for Senate, I will campaign, I will door knock for Rome. But my standards haven't hit the floor like many of these dumb, butt-broken DSA leftists. If Zoya ran for Senate, I'll support her. I am demanding better for the American working class, while the professional managerial class wants you to fucking just concede to Zohran Mamdani. They want to think that Zohran Mamdani is the best we can do. The fuck? So for all the people that say Nick is just an asshole, attacks everyone who supports no one, you are full of shit. I support mutual aid. I support independent grassroots campaign outside of the duopoly. I support the Haru socialist movement. I support the Fred Hampton family, who we have a close relationship with. We were just organizing with them in the summer. So for all the people that say, man, RBN, all you gotta do is just bash everyone. Why don't they bring up that? Because the only thing they care about is you supporting the professional managerial class in their career ambitions. If you're not supporting the career ambitions of a PMC, they don't care about you. If you're not propping up the Democratic Party, they don't care about you, because those same people refuse to support Shama Sawant. Where are all the people who came out and endorsed Zohran Mamdani? Why aren't they doing the same thing for Shama Sawant? It says a lot, doesn't it? Whew. Here's Shama. We need an intifada of the millions, which follows the historical example set by the Palestinian masses. Come on. You already cooking, Shama. You already won me over. She's still cooking. She's still cooking, bro. So instead of condemning the Palestinian resistance, she's saying we need to join it. We need to have more of it. And I really hope that people who saw my criticism early on listen to this part. If you thought I was being too unreasonable, because you see these people all over X, these Zohran supporters who think I was being unreasonable, who think the left is being unreasonable. This is what a fucking left statement looks like, fam. I love this comment. I'm glad. I need to start reading more comments. I love you, Nick. I hate your country, but you're one of the good ones. Keep up the fight. I love that. Bro, our audience, isn't this Zoe? Our audience is international as fuck. I'm hated. I'm despised by the DSA left, the Bernie industrial complex, but I have the support of Palestinians, people in China, people from all around the world, and that's what really matters. Because once again, I can't emphasize enough how much I despise the mainstream progressive United States left. I don't even consider myself part of it. I literally don't even consider myself part of what they deem the U.S. left. I am a fucking communist, and you can classify that however you want. And I see these people. I see people on Twitter all the time, like the people, the Bernie people who hate me. They will say, "Don't you know Nick is secretly a right winger? Nick is not on the left. Nick is not on the left. RBN is secretly right wing." I'm like, whatever you think is the left is, I'm glad you don't consider me that. Whenever I see Zohran fans, I'm glad you don't consider me to be whatever you think the left is. That's how far apart I am from the U.S. left. That's how detached I am from the U.S. left and how much they disappointed me over the 7 to 8 years since I've been in this game. That I don't even care that they all call me a leftist. And I think, to be clear, I think most people who are not delusional agree with this. Most people who are not delusional agree with that. But you see these idiots. Zoe, you know who I'm talking about. The G-Hive, Bernie AOC code who will never forgive me for being right about these people. There are people who will never forgive me about being right about Zohran Mamdani because I called this out months ago. So instead of just admitting I was right, instead of admitting that tankies, not just about me, tankies, we have the burden of being right about fucking everything. And we never get credit by social democrats. The social democrats take L after L after L, never have a successful revolution, wrong about everything, and they will never give tankies credit for it.